And welcome back to Hannity. The architect Karl Rove has been taking a lot of heat recently over his newly formed super PAC, which says they aim to nominate the most electable Republican candidates, conservatives, ahead of the 2014 midterms. And over the weekend, things got a little heated when he went head-to-head with Bob Woodward. Let's take a look.
A lot of this is just simply examining these candidates, looking at their record, doing the kind of research on ourselves that the other side is already going to be doing, and trying to have discussions behind the scenes among conservative groups as to how strong are these respective candidates.
But you're going to set yourself up as a kind of Politburo, vetting these candidates. The whole theory of republicanism is to let the local, state, or district decide.
Even the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, had some pretty harsh words for Karl Rove earlier today. Watch this.
The idea Karl Rove has of creating some super PAC to go out and basically pick Republican Senate nominees, for example, is a terrible idea. We don't want to become a party in which a handful of political bosses gather up money from billionaires in order to destroy the candidates they don't like.
And back with us to give his side of the story, Fox News contributor, the architect Karl Rove. Sir, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
All right, let me start. I know this seems to be getting bigger and bigger since we last spoke about it. The Tea Party Patriots had you in a Nazi SS uniform, but they apologized. Let's start there and your reaction to that.
Well, look, somebody sent out a fundraising email with a picture of me as Heinrich Himmler, the SS chief, and I don't know how what adult supervision was needed there, but they apologized. I accept that. And let's get back to trying to get the most conservatives we can elected to office and turn back the Obama agenda. It's a little amazing that that it would be so loose that they'd send out something as offensive as that. But you know what? I got a thick skin, and I'm not going to worry about it.
Well, I want to ask then about Bob Woodward. I mean, the Politburo?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? There was a lot of attention paid to the Tea Party Patriot email over Ms. Kramer's name, calling me a Nazi and having a picture of me. But Woodward goes on Fox News Sunday and calls me a member of the Politburo. Now, the last time I checked, the Politburo was the ruling body of the Soviet Communist Party, which enslaved hundreds of millions of people, oversaw the extermination of tens of millions of people, and during the Cold War threatened the United States with nuclear annihilation. Now, just because Woodward is a sort of center-left journalist, he can get away with calling me a communist, and nobody's bothered by that. And I also love to, here's a guy who's been around Washington for 42 years as a journalist, and he tells me that I ought to get out of politics and get out of Washington. I mean, first of all, I went to Washington about 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, and came back home to Texas a couple of years ago. So I've been in Washington a heck of a lot fewer years than he has, but I thought it was interesting, and there's no attention paid to that. A lot of attention paid by the media to the Tea Party. They love the idea of conservatives kicking other conservatives, but when a liberal has a libel like that I'm some kind of Soviet boss, it just gets passed right by.
I'm not sure if in the end, look, my hope for 2014 is that the Tea Party is re-energized. I'd like to see what happened in 2010 happen again come 2014. I know that is not what President Obama wants. Is this healthy in some ways? Is this just the natural outcrop of things didn't go the way people want in this election? Or do you think in the end this is divisive and unhealthy?
Well, look, I'm not going to try and explain the motives of somebody who'd send out an email claiming that another conservative is a Nazi. I'm just not. There was something interesting, though. This idea that's being put forward by some that what Crossroads is a bunch of consultants is absolutely wrong. Look, we do have a problem on the right. We have too many organizations that are run by consultants who are more concerned with their fees and profits than they are with advancing the cause. We got too many groups where they're paying 15% to the media guy, and the fundraiser gets a big slice out of every dollar that's raised. They got really nice offices, and they hire themselves to do things. They give themselves contracts. This is a problem. That's why we set up Crossroads. Crossroads is a different kind of an organization. It's run by a board of volunteers, business and political people. They hire the staff, they set the policies, they set the compensation, they approve the hiring, they approve the budget, they approve any change in the budget. We have a small professional staff that gets a salary. It doesn't get a set of fees. There is a strict conflict of interest standard they have to abide by. Contracts are competitively bid. For example, we pay the media people and the buyer less than 3%. We have Spartan offices. We have volunteers in the states where we're active who help guide our strategic efforts. Look, I'm a volunteer. I help raise money for the group. I don't take a dime. I don't even get my expenses reimbursed. I put my expenses into the deal because it's too hard to raise this money, and people are willing to give, but they don't like the fact that we have too many groups that are sort of enriching themselves. And we listen to our donors. That's why we're getting involved with the Conservative Victory Project. We have people who gave us $328 million in 2011 and 12, and they said, why did we come up short in these races that we should have won? We deserve to have a right to be involved in primaries, and we want to go about it in a thoughtful fashion. Look, if you take the attitude that nobody ought to be involved in primaries, fine. But if you take the attitude that some groups ought to be able to be involved in primaries and not other groups, then there's a little bit of a hypocrisy there. And we have a right, just like everybody else, to be involved, and in a low-key, collegial fashion, we're going to try and help do what we can to get the most electable, strong conservatives so we don't give away seats.
Who are the people that you would support now in the primary, and the argument that some make that this should be a local decision, not made?
Well, it is a local decision. Yeah. Look, we have donors all across the country who help make these decisions. But look, you cannot, you know, if we're expecting these people to write generous checks, look, we spent $5.9 million in Indiana for Richard Murdoch. We have a lot of Indiana donors. These guys are saying we want to be involved in this process. We want somebody to help vet these, give us the intelligence, give us the information on which we can make a better decision. We put $3.3 million into Missouri and stopped running ads when Todd Akin blew himself up. And donors said, why did we find ourselves in a place? Generous people in Missouri said, why did we find ourselves in a place here where we didn't play in the primary and ended up with a candidate who was the beneficiary of $2 million of advertising from Harry Reid, who attacked him in the Republican primary in order to boost the least electable Republican for the general election. So, look, if you say nobody should be involved in primaries, congratulations, you're being consistent. If you say, I'm happy with the existing groups and I'm happy with the Todd Akins and Richard Murdochs of the world, but oh no, Crossroads can't get involved, then you're not being consistent.
All right, Karl Rove, thanks so much for being